All right, so I was rereading The Richest Man in Babylon, and I started reflecting a little bit on the different types of jobs that I had, the amount of income I was making, a lot of different stuff, and I started to notice something. It didn't matter how much money I made, and it didn't matter how much I worked. I was still struggling to make ends meet at the end of the month. It was confusing. I really didn't know what the difference was because my lifestyle didn't change dramatically, but it did inflate, and that's something you need to watch out for, especially if you just got promoted. If you got a increase in your income, spot that lifestyle inflation before it gets the best of you. So, like I said, I was struggling to make ends meet, and I really didn't know why. And it wasn't until I started reading this book again. I recommend you read it too if you have the time, and if you don't like reading, they have the audiobook available for free on YouTube. So it goes over the basic premise of wealth and how to build it. And I wanted to go over two things that have been helping me immensely over the last couple of months. And the reason I kind of wanted to implement it first was I wanted to make sure that it worked before I shared it with anyone else. So if you start listening to it, you're gonna be invested like quickly. It's not gonna be difficult to read like a lot of material, mainly because it gives it the information in story format, so it makes it pretty entertaining to listen to. And it starts off with basically someone like me. He doesn't know how to amass wealth. He doesn't know why he struggles when other people don't. There's people with tons of money, and it's not that they're smarter than you. It's not that they have any advantage over you, but they just simply know how to manage their money a lot better. So this guy, he's sick of it. He's tired of working and having nothing to show for it. And he goes to one of his friends that's actually one of the wealthiest men in Babylon. And he tells him, well, we grew up in the same place, where we both work very hard. It's not like you have any special talents. You're not any different than I am. Then why is it that I'm struggling when you're enjoying all these riches? So the best friend sits him down and he tells him, he's like, you know what? Well, maybe it's not so much that I'm any better than you, but I noticed and I started analyzing what it was that the principles of money. So he sits him down and he tells him, look, if you really want to start making a difference, you need to start setting that 10% and paying it to yourself. So to give you an example that they used in the book, this guy was making, I think he built carriages, and each week he would make 10 pieces of copper. So he told him, he's like, okay, well, you're making 10 pieces of copper, so from those 10 pieces, I want you to grab one and you disregard it completely. You put it in your bank account, you put it under your mattress, wherever you think it's safe, but you don't look at it at all. You don't count on it. You're not gonna spend it. So he does that, and within the 10 weeks, he noticed that he already had his own paycheck, but he had an extra paycheck, or at least the same amount. And when I started applying that in my own life, okay, well, I noticed, damn, the 10 weeks passed, and I was like, damn, well, I mean, I still have another paycheck, like, at my disposal. Well, not at my disposal, but I have it in my bank account. Not only did that give me more confidence, but I started seeing everything in my life very differently. And I started budgeting everything, and just because I'm using the word budget, it doesn't mean that I'm very frugal. On the contrary, I'm still enjoying the same type of life. I'm still going out. I'm still doing a lot of different things that I did before. The only difference is that I started being more mindful on what I was spending my money on. And it's those cheap pleasures and that instant dopes of dopamine that I would give myself by buying myself the chips, buying myself like sodas and stuff like that that were really that as minuscule as that sounds, over the week or over the month, that money adds up. So that's basically what I started looking at, and I started kind of retracting from or holding myself back from spending. When that started happening, everything started becoming a lot easier. I'm a lot more relaxed. I'm not so stressed out about how I'm gonna make ends meet. My bills are always paid on time, and I know that it's just a process that it's gonna keep growing over time. So now we get back to the story. Okay, so he has his 10 pieces of copper, and at those times, and for maybe even now, it's very difficult to have that capital to be able to invest it in a business. So this baker, he hears about it and he tells him, he's like, you know what, well, I have this great idea. I'm gonna go over to the Phoenicians, I'm gonna get some jewelry from them, and I'm gonna come back and we can sell it for 2 or 3 times more of what it's worth here in Babylon. And this guy thinks, well, great, well, now the extra paycheck that I have is gonna turn into 2 or 3. I mean, and basically, well, this guy's gonna take care of everything. He has his business. He has his business in mind. He should know the ins and out of everything that's gonna happen. So he gives him the money, and this guy goes off and he's buying the jewelry. And while this guy's buying the jewelry, the guy who gave him the advice comes back and he's like, hey, well, what happened? So it's been 10 weeks. Do you have the money, or what are you doing with it? And this guy tells him, well, yeah, well, actually, I don't have it on me, but I just gave it to this baker because he's gonna go and he's gonna bring some jewelry back, and we're gonna make our money, and we're gonna start this little business venture. And he sits him down and he tells him, well, why would you trust somebody that bakes on a business that has to do with jewelry? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. He's like, well, no, like, well, he says that if he buys it over there, then he's gonna come back and we're gonna 2 or 3 times X our money. Like, I think that's a good idea. I mean, that's one of the best investments that I've heard so far. And he's like, well, I mean, you should probably just forget about that money and start over, because I really doubt that business is gonna work. That guy has no idea what he's doing. He has no experience in that business, and it's gonna be it's basically money down the toilet. So this guy was like, okay, well, we'll see. So the baker comes back and he tells him, he's like, well, I brought the jewelry and all that stuff, so I'm gonna get to selling all of this, and we'll see where this goes. As soon as he starts selling them, they realize that they sold them pieces of glass, and it wasn't the actual jewelry that the baker had in mind. And why did they sell them the pieces of glass? Because it was easy to fool the baker. Like, the baker doesn't know what the jewelry is supposed to look like. He doesn't know what it's supposed to feel like. So by the time he got back, he already realized that he basically got screwed over. And that's the second part that I wanted to kind of go over. It might be a little bit confusing, but once you have that capital and once you're gonna invest in something, make sure that either you or the person you're gonna go on that venture with have a deep grasp and have some sort of experience in what it is that you guys want to get into. It's very amusing, or it's very exciting to want to grow with someone and to want to make your money together and make it grow. But you have to understand that money doesn't care about your feelings, and money doesn't care about your intentions. It's gonna come if you know how to make it grow. And the only way you can make it grow is by knowing or having a sure profit in mind. So I hope this really helps somebody. Just to basically sum it up, save 10%. Once you have that 10% in your pocket, invest it into something that you know is gonna multiply and it's gonna grow over time. And at times that might not be the most exciting, but it's better to be safe than sorry.